The 27th season of MLS kicks off this weekend, and today I'm breaking down the top 15 young Americans in MLS that you need to be paying attention to this season. Yes guys, welcome to the 11 Yanks channel. I'm Pete Douthit. We cover a broad spectrum of things in the American soccer landscape. Before we go any further guys, even if you are already subscribed to the channel, smash that notifications button for me so that you don't miss any videos from 11 Yanks. Okay guys, so like I said, I'm going to be talking about the 15 best young Americans playing in MLS, or at the very least the 15 Americans that I'm excited to watch. With young players, it's very hard to know who's got the highest ceiling, who's got the most potential, who will end up developing into an elite player, who won't. Those things are very hard to predict. So I'm just going to call this the 15 players I'm most excited to watch. Now, this list is not hierarchical in any way. There's no difference in my mind between number 1 and number 15. This is just a collection of the top 15 players, in my opinion, in no particular order. But for example, Paxten Aaronson is one of the guys I'm most excited to watch this season, and he's 6th on this list. It's not in any particular order, it's just a collection of the top 15. This is one area that a lot of MLS has been doing a lot better in, is not only developing and selling on players, but giving the next generation of guys a chance to come up after those players have been sold on. For example, Atlanta United sold George Bello to Arminia Bielefeld and now signs Caleb Wiley and gives him a chance to stake a claim in the first team this season. This develop and sell model is something that MLS has really started to embrace over the last couple of years, and it's very good for the league and for American soccer in general. I also want to shout out these guys here who gave me their insights and thoughts on specific players and who contributed to this video in that way. Thanks guys, your knowledge and player focus was invaluable in helping me to make this video. Okay, let's dive into it. Number 1 is Gabriel Slonina. Okay, at 17 years old, he is still one of the youngest shot stoppers in the first division of any of the top 30 leagues in the world. Won the job as the number 1 keeper last season. He's a great shot stopper. He has very good reflexes. He has the ability to get down very quickly to make low saves. He has a very, very strong mentality. This is what I've noticed about Gabriel Slonina. To be 17 as a goalkeeper and start in MLS is not easy, and you need a very strong mentality. You need confidence. You need a good work ethic. You need humility. And Gaga Slonina appears to have a lot of those things. Now, can he improve? Yes. I would like to see him improve a lot with his feet. And part of that is not as much down to him, it's how Ezra Hendrickson will have the Fire playing this season. I hope they are going to play out of the back at least some of the time so that he can improve with his feet, because that's going to be huge in deciding what his ceiling as a goalkeeper will be. The other area of his game that I think needs to improve is collecting crosses in the air. Not that he doesn't have the physicality or the timing to do it, but a lot of that is just reading those crosses and understanding trajectory and reacting to them. And the good news is that's something that can improve with experience. Number 2 is Brian Gutierrez. He will get a lot more playing time this year than the 621 minutes that he got last year, especially because Torres doesn't join the Fire until May, and also because Shaqiri kind of just got there. So he's going to have an early chance to impress in the season. Now, Brian Gutierrez is actually a 10, but he played on the wings last season. I would like to see him play a little bit more central this year, maybe split time between playing wide and playing centrally. He's a very technical, good midfielder. He showed some good moments in Revelations Cup back in November. Where I want him to improve this year is adding final product if he wants to become a starter for the Fire. Number 3 is John Tolkin. Now that Andrew Gutman has left to Atlanta United, Tolkin should be their number 1 left back, although there could be some competition from Jason Pendon. Now clearly the Red Bulls believe in him because they let Andrew Gutman go. What I like about John Tolkin is that he's an excellent crosser of the ball, very good, very technical in tight spaces, a real attacking fullback. There are 2 things that he needs to improve. Number 1 is his defending in isolation, and number 2 is his decision making in the final third. Both of those things can improve with experience. They aren't fundamental flaws, and I'm looking forward to seeing the kind of progress that he makes for the Red Bulls this season. Number 4 is Aidan Morris, a kid that I am extremely high on. After doing so well in MLS Cup against Seattle and helping Crew to win a trophy, He was injured in the opening game of CCL last year and spent all of the season out. It was very tough for a young player like him, but he's looked very good in preseason and appears to be close to his former form. He's a lot like Tyler Adams in that his closing down speed and athleticism is excellent as a 6, as a defensive midfielder, but he's also sneaky good on the ball. He is going to have to battle Artur for a spot, especially if Crew plays in a 3-4-3, because it'll be Darlington Nagbe and then either Morris or Artur competing for that other spot. So it's a good amount of competition for him, but also he will get plenty of time, plenty of minutes, and could be a dark horse to be a late addition to the Qatar roster. Yes, guys, that's how good he is. Number 5 is Tayvon Gray. Tayvon Gray is already an MLS Cup winner, and he has the confidence to match it. On and off the field, he's very cocky, he believes in himself, he is a modern attacking fullback, but he's also very good at defending. When he was in the academy, he played as a center back, and so I believe that helped his development a lot. Now, Anton Tinnerholm is recovering from injury until about May, so he should be the starting right back for the first couple of months of the season, and it's up to him to show with his performances that he should remain the right back even when Tinnerholm returns. What does he need to work on? He's very good at getting to the end line and putting in low crosses, but he needs to occupy space better in the middle third to help with the buildup. I'd also like to see him put some high crosses in, find some headers, not just always go low when he gets into that final third. Just adding some variance to how he crosses the ball is going to make him a little bit more unpredictable this season. Number 6 is Paxten Aaronson, the one I'm most looking forward to watching. If his brother Brendan is a workhorse, Paxten is a wizard. He got 3 goals in 600 minutes last season, but from a technical perspective, Paxten Aaronson has it all. He is the answer to everybody who says that the 10 is dead in modern football. He can play in the half spaces, he's very comfortable with both feet, he can make passes and combination play in tight spaces, has an eye for goal, and is going to be a very, very good player. I'm expecting a breakout season for Paxten Aaronson and a possible European move at the end of the year. Jim Curtin recently told Larry Henry Jr. that Paxten Aaronson was 12 to 18 months ahead of Brendan in his development. For me though, it's more than that. They're different kinds of players. I think Paxten Aaronson has a higher ceiling, and I'm looking forward to seeing him demonstrate that this year. Caden Clark just came off a roller coaster transfer saga with lots of moving parts involving Leipzig and Inter Miami, but he will spend the year at New York Red Bulls. Now, there are some questions about whether or not Caden fits with how the Red Bulls want to play, as he's more of a player that can dictate tempo and not just be a very direct player. Now, defensively, Caden is a beast. His closing down, his pressing, his winning the ball, denying opponents time and space, his reaction speed, all very good. He's got goals and assists in him. We've seen this before. 4 goals and 3 assists last season will tell you that. He dropped off a bit last season after his appendix surgery, but he will be looking for more consistency this year, and I'm definitely looking forward to watching Caden. Reed Baker-Whitting of Seattle Sounders has already drawn interest from Liverpool, Manchester City, and Dortmund. How much playing time will he get for Seattle this season? I don't know. There are 3 guys in front of him in Nico Lodero, Christian Roldan, and João Paulo. And on top of that, he's going to have to fight Obed Vargas and Danny Leyva for a spot in that midfield. Last season, he seesawed back and forth between USL and MLS, but he should be a lot more with the senior team this year. He was on the bench for their recent CCL game against Montagua. Reed Baker-Whitting is very smooth and very composed on the ball. He's got an excellent first touch. What he's going to have to improve to get more playing time this year is his finishing and his decision making in the final third. A lot of it is having the mental toughness to get into good spots and then execute once he gets into those spots, but he has the tools to be a success. It's about, can he make that jump mentally this year? I think he can. Cade Cowell is the answer to the question, what if our best athletes played soccer? Now, Cade has been with San Jose playing regularly for 2 full years now, and he has all the athletic gifts to be a top player. Technically, though, he needs to improve, particularly in tight spaces. While he's really good in open space, it's the tight spaces I want to see more from him, and how much he improves in that area of his game is ultimately what will decide his ceiling. From preseason though, it looks like he's done that. He has improved technically, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. In preseason, he looks to be playing as a left wing back, so it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to that role, but there's a lot to like about Cade Cowell, and I will be watching him very closely. Number 10, Quinn Sullivan. Quinn Sullivan broke onto the scene with a bicycle kick against Chicago Fire last summer, and he followed that up with an assist to Kasper Shabilko. He had 2 goals and 1 assist in just over 500 minutes. For Philly last season, 2 words about him: versatile and a problem solver. He's played in many spots on the field, and one of the reasons for that is that Quinn Sullivan can get out of tight spaces on his own. That's really a metric for elite talent for me. Lots of players can pass their way out of pressure. Quinn uses his technique to get out of tight spaces on his own. There was a recent story where they did the preseason bleep test, and not only did he win the bleep test for the entire Union roster at just 17 years old, he did 5 or 6 sprints after he finished the bleep test, whereas most guys are lying on the ground exhausted from pushing themselves to their VO2 max. He did 5 or 6 more sprints just to show everybody what a beast he is. How can he improve? Well, he's going to have to be more of a level head. He can be a little bit rash. We saw this with the red card that he got in Revelations Cup last year, but he's still young. I expect Quinn Sullivan to have a super season. Him and Paxten, for me, are going to be standout young players for Philly. And guys, the number 1 team to watch this year for young Americans will be the Philadelphia Union. Caleb Wiley signed a homegrown deal with Atlanta United. He will start the season as a backup to Gutmann after George Bello moved to Germany. He impressed me in Revelations Cup, combining a pretty good athleticism with a solid enough technique. This year is going to be a steep learning curve for Wiley, but he's got time on his side. He is just 17 years old. He's a very good crosser of the ball. He is okay in tight spaces. I wouldn't say he's bad. I would want to see how he can adapt, and he needs to also improve with his right foot, because right now he's a little bit one-dimensional. But it's going to be his first season. I don't know how much playing time he's going to get. If he can get 400 to 500 minutes, that'll be a good start for Caleb Wiley. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that Moses Nyeman's skill set and style of play reminds me of N'Golo Kante. Now, before the comments erupt with ridicule, let me just clarify. I'm not saying he will ever be as good as Kante. I'm just saying the style seems similar. Is he an attacking or a defending midfielder? You don't know, because honestly, he can do it all. He'll be competing for regular minutes in Hernan Losada's 3-5-2. He's got very good agility, pace, flair, coordination, balance. He's very hard to knock off the ball thanks to his low center of gravity and his excellent close control. He's got stamina, determination, ability, pace. All of those things enable him to cover ground, and he's a very tenacious tackler. 2 things to improve for him this season are going to be aerial duels, right? Winning balls in the air. Part of that is his height. He can only do so much with that, but a lot of it is about timing and use of your body to put off the opponent. And the other one is just being a little more effective in those crucial moments in the final third. You know, young players with talent, you hear me say this a lot over the course of this video, but that's really what experience gives you, right? In those crucial moments, the experience gives you the execution and the decision making to be better in that area. Obed Vargas became the 3rd youngest player in MLS history to play in an MLS match when he started against Austin last summer. He is an Alaskan player. He recently started against Montagua in CCL just last week. He was calm and composed without being excellent, but he is just 16 years old. This is what Stefan Fry said about him after the game. He has a good head on his shoulders. That's the most important thing when I see a young player. A young talent is someone who still wants to work, someone who wants to get better, someone who doesn't think they've made it yet. I see all the right things there. Now, he was only playing in CCL because João Paulo arrived late to preseason, but he did enough for me to believe he'll get more rotation minutes. Against Montagua, he played it a little bit too safe at times, but when he did venture forward with the ball, he had some good moments. How much playing time will he get? Again, he's behind Roldan, João Paulo, and Lodero in that Seattle midfield, but after that, it's him, Leyva, and Atencio pushing for those minutes, so a lot of it is up to him. When he gets minutes, he's going to have to perform to get more. 14 is Jack McGlynn. He is an interesting hybrid between a playmaker and a defending midfielder. He does both of those things well enough, but neither of them particularly excellently. He has very good vision, all right, decent technique, and really, really good set-piece delivery, but he's gonna have to be more dynamic on and off the ball if he wants to make serious progress this season. George Bello played just over 600 minutes for Atlanta in 2021. He seesawed back and forth between USL and MLS, very good for his development. He's probably going to start this season as the third center back, so he'll be backing up Miles Robinson and Alan Franco. Now, the thing about George Campbell is he's about a year to 18 months ahead of where Miles Robinson was at his age, but his style is very similar to Robinson. Very athletic, decent but not great on the ball. Areas of improvement for him are going to be reading of the game because, like Miles, he still relies too much on his athleticism, which is great, but if you can pair that with a better reading of the game, you are golden. He also needs to not play it so safe with his passing. He's a decent passer of the ball, but I would like him to be a little more aggressive with his passing, step into midfield more with the ball, try to break lines with his passing and not just play it safe. I think he'll get a good 1,000 minutes for Atlanta this season, and he could be somebody to watch for a USMNT future. Now, there are some special mentions who did not make this list. Paxten Aaronson for FC Dallas. Paxten Aaronson for FC Dallas has had a rough couple of years with a lot of injuries, but hopefully this year is his breakout year, playing more centrally under Nico Estevez's system. Ted Ku-Di-Pietro at DC United is someone to watch. Jacob Green, a newly signed left back, sort of replacing Kevin Paredes, who went to Wolfsburg. Danny Leiva's still there with Seattle Sounders. Edwin Cerrillo's had a really good preseason with FC Dallas. Josh Atencio hasn't made enough progress in the last 2 years to make the top 15, but still one to keep an eye on. Noah Allen was Young Player of the Year in USL and is probably going to get significant minutes for Inter Miami at left back. Caden Pierre at Sporting KC is a good right back. Michael Halliday needs to make a step up at Orlando City and show real progress. Hayden Sargis is an interesting one. Went to DC United after playing for Sacramento Republic. Is a center back, still just 20 years old. Not sure how many minutes he's going to get, but one to watch. And then there's Daniel Edelman, the 6 or defending midfielder for New York Red Bulls. I need to also call out two teams, Portland Timbers and Houston Dynamo, who in my opinion are failing the grade in player development in MLS, especially Houston Dynamo, who are in a talent-rich area in southern Texas. The fact that they are not producing almost any players coming through their academy and getting significant first-team minutes is really disheartening and kind of a disgrace for that club. Same with Portland Timbers. Their owner likes to make the excuse that there's not enough talent in the Portland area. For me, that's a load of crock. If Seattle can do it, if Iceland can produce talent, you can produce talent too. It's probably the quality and focus of your development that's the issue, and not the fact that a passionate soccer city like Portland doesn't have enough talent in it. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying these clubs need to be Dallas or Philly, but like every other MLS clubs, they need to at least start producing 2 or 3 academy players every year who are getting minutes with the first team, and they haven't done that, and so I'm going to shame them here and ask for them to be better. All right, guys, those are my thoughts of the top 15 young Americans to watch in MLS in 2022. Let me know what you guys think of this list. If there's anybody else I missed, who are you looking forward to watching? Have a great week, and on Thursday, I'm releasing the interview with Herculez Gomez. Fantastic interview, one of my favorites I've ever done on this channel. Stay tuned.